Welcome to the Virginia Citizens Defense League's 18th annual lobby day. Gun owners of all races and creeds from Virginia and across the country are here to stand in solidarity against gun control. I want to thank all of you for coming out on such a cold day.
Well, we won't back down. We're gonna stand our ground. We know you're trying to open the gates of hell, but we won't back down. So yes, we'll stand our ground. We won't be pushed around. We must keep you from putting our kids in the ground, so we can't stand down. No, we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't stand down, brother. So we'll stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. 'Cause we know what's right. And we got plenty of fight. And if you think you're gonna keep pushing us around, well, you'll lose that crown. 'Cause we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've got to stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. You know, it's pretty clear. If these lunatics think they have the right to strip us of our rights of self-defense, and if they're willing to do that, what else are they willing to do? We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. No, we won't back down. Back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've got to stand our ground. So we won't back down. No, we won't back down. Virginians, you won't fight this fight alone.
Well, good evening, everybody. Ed Levine here from the VCDL, along with President Philip Van Cleve and Treasurer Secretary Pat Webb on our monthly general membership meeting. Hope you all having a good night tonight. We got lots to cover. How are you guys?
Well, doing good. Yeah, we do have a lot to cover. And I'll say every time I see that video, I never get tired of it. All those people that were all so wonderful, thousands and thousands of them, side by side, all having a great time that day, cold as it was. I just never get tired of seeing that stuff. It was a day I'll never forget.
Yeah, somebody posted on one of the forums that was like 58,353,000,000,000 degrees below zero.
Yeah, at least the wind chill factor is another 20 below.
But they were out there.
Yeah, they were. Good stuff. How you doing, Pat?
Doing good. Doing good. I'm glad it's not that cold right now.
Yeah, this is kind of fun. Last Thursday was good too. Well, why can't that be Saturday or something when I normally go to the range? Anyhow,
I see in chat our editor of the newsletter, The Defender, Mark Cheng, is in the chat. So thank you to Mark for all the work he does in putting together our
absolutely.
Our printed newsletter that you get in the mail. Members get it in the mail much different than the alert. It's more of the quarterly newsletter that you actually get in the mail.
Yeah,
If
it
you're one
covers
of the
different items.
yeah, if you're one of the members that has a family membership, you get a little bit of a discount on having a family membership because we only send one copy of that to your mailbox, and that saves us a little money. So we pass that savings on to you if you want to have a family membership.
Yeah, but you can still go online and download the current issue, but you have to log into the website to get the most current issue.
And to log in, you have to be a member, right?
Right.
Yeah. So membership has its privileges.
It does.
So let's see. Sneakers checked in. One of our members from Northern Virginia. And a comment from PJC that it's cold in Ottawa. Are you in Ottawa, PJC? Sounds like you might be.
I don't have, I normally have my list of things to talk about, and I really don't have a lot on my list. I know you probably have some because you've been going to the meetings, Philip and Pat.
Oh, yeah.
I know that we're talking about the HB 509, the red flag law. I know that's a hot topic on people's mind. And another thing that hits us in the social media a little bit that really isn't a Virginia issue, but it's a big gun issue, and that's the whole Remington suit, Remington and Sandy Hook. So in any particular order that you want to go through things, those are just a couple of items to talk about.
Oh, yeah, well, of course, I was going to update everybody on all the gun bills and where they're standing, so we can do that too. We've got a fight in front of us now that most of the bills that we wanted are in front of the Senate. So that's where the battleground is. It wasn't so bad in the House, although not perfect in the House, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah, the Remington settlement that was very disappointing to me. That
they didn't really even decide to settle themselves. It was like 4 of their insurance companies that decided to do so, but they still set a pretty reckless precedent. It's like if your favorite whiskey company now gets sued because they made whiskey and someone got a DUI.
Yeah, right. They crashed their car or killed somebody, and then now suddenly, yeah, this is all part of this insanity out there, and they're just pulling at straws, but they're also in the process of destroying gun companies. Very disappointing. But yeah, maybe Remington had nothing to do with it. I mean, what do you do if your insurance companies, which are covering all the costs of the trial and everything, decide they're not going to keep doing it? It's either we're going to drop you or we're going to settle. What do you do?
Yeah. I had a conversation with a customer in the shop today, and one of the things that we discussed was maybe it's time that we start suing governments for creating these gun-free zones that are so frequently targeted by deranged killers.
Yeah.
Yep. For those that don't know, Pat has a gun shop.
Just a little one.
And a pot shop.
Yes.
Not pot, but
not the plant-based. It's dirt-based.
Clay, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually.
There you go.
Yeah, so they stole the term and gave it a whole different meaning.
Yep.
I think Pat froze there a little bit.
Pop.
There we go.
She has like 4 hamsters that run around in a wheel to give her internet access down there.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on at the General Assembly. As much as it's good that the pro-gun side is in control of the House, they're not in control of the Senate. And because of that, some things in the House that we liked didn't make it out of the House. And I think part of the thinking there was, well, it won't get out of the Senate, so why bother? Meanwhile, our attitude is let's get the stuff over and let people vote on it. If they voted down, they voted down. At least we have them on record for doing so. An example of some of the things that went down the tubes was one handgun a month. There was a repeal, quite several bills to repeal that. One that would have taken away the power of school boards to ban guns on their property. I only know of one school board that I know of that did it, and another that wants to and is trying, and maybe a third. The one that jumped on that whole school board banning the guns on their grounds was Loudoun County, and we all know that why they probably did that, because they're doing all kinds of stuff that's really upsetting parents in Loudon. So they requested this and they jumped on board. Well, they must be thinking, well, if we're going to do dirty things that the parents are going to hate us for, then we sure as heck want to disarm them. That's typical sort of tyrant thinking. So that one did not make it. There was one to reduce concealed handgun permit fees to zero. That didn't make it. And the reason that didn't make it, it'll come back, or it may come back in a slightly different format. But that one went down because it was like a little over like 1.1 or 1.2 million dollars the state figured it was going to cost to not charge people for their permits at all. But what it came down to was like the state was basically saying, as long as they got $6 a permit, I think then that value would have gone to zero. So maybe next year the way to do this is to say, okay, we're not going to go to, well, the way to do it is constitutional carry, but that's not going to be a reality until the Senate elections are up in 2023. So for next year, we probably are not going to be realistically looking at getting constitutional carry, but we could reduce the fees down to like $6 for a concealed handgun permit in the meantime. And even if we go to constitutional carry, maybe that fee has to stay for those that want a permit, but that's a lot better than $50. So, but that'll be next year. There was several bills to repeal the the ability to carry in churches if you have good and sufficient reason. And again, as we've said many times, an attorney general's opinion that's been out there for years says as long as you're carrying for self-defense, you can carry in churches. So the loss of that bill isn't a big deal at this point, but the government needs to stop telling a church how it has to do security. That's absolutely unacceptable. Along with in my opinion, telling a private K through 12 school how they must do security. Where does the state come off doing that?
Or even a public school for that matter.
Well, yeah, but at least it's a school owned by the state as opposed to somebody that starts their own school and may have a much better idea on security than the state schools have. But like I say, well, if you look at Utah, if you have a concealed handgun permit there, you can carry in the school. Teachers carry. No problems. Utah hasn't had any issues with that. The other thing that died was repealing the state agency gun ban. So the rest stops being gun-free zones in ABC stores and DMV and the Capitol and the General Assembly building for now will continue to be gun-free zones. Let's see. The other one that didn't make it was one that would have repealed preschool and child day centers as schools, meaning that if you carry on that property, suddenly you could be charged with a felony and so forth, because they're treating it just like it was a regular school, K through 12. So that bill didn't make it. So we're going to have to come back for these. But I will say this much. Stand by on the preschool thing. We're going to have something cooking on that we won't be doing legislatively. Just we'll advise. Not through with this fight. And there's things you can do outside the General Assembly, and we're looking at options. Well, let's talk about what did make it. I'll throw out the oddest one of the group that none of us were paying a lot of attention to. VCDL supported a bill on switchblades. We were expecting that this would be a fight, but it wasn't at all. Just the opposite. It cleared the Senate 40-0. 40 to 0.
And that's the Senate where things are tougher to get through.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, when Senator Saslaw, of all people, spoke up on that bill, when we started talking, I thought, okay, well, here comes the opposition. But no, you could have pushed me over with a feather. He said, when I was growing up in the 40s and 50s, geez, all my friends and everything, we all had switchblades in their pockets. Nobody got stabbed. It was no big deal.
Besides, if I give you your switchblades, then I don't have to give you your guns.
Well, I don't know if that's what he was thinking, but when I heard him say that, I said, "Wow, this ought to be interesting." And then everything from then on, it was unanimous. So that's going to the House. Now you never know, but at this point, I'm feeling really confident about that law changing. And I'll probably.
And for those of you that want to follow along on the screen, also, I know it's too small to see, but that's just to show you. You can go to vcdl-lis.org and look at our legislation tracking tool and get an update, real-time update on everything, all these different bills, what we supported, what we're neutral on, what we don't support, who voted what on them, so you can kind of get involved, because that's what it's going to take, is everybody get involved.
Right. LIS stands for Legislative Information System, just to make it a little easier to remember.
Yeah, so that's and as bills die, they get moved out of the top of that thing down to the bottom. So all the dead bills are at the very, very bottom of the LIS system we've got up there.
And on the right-hand side of that, next to the bills will be listed on the left, and they're sorted by bills we strongly support, then bills we support, then bills we're neutral, then bills we oppose and we strongly oppose. And on the right-hand side are links to the committees and where it is in the system. So you can click on that link and actually go to the state's legislative information system and get the links to email committee members and things like that.
And you can go to the committees that it's in and see when they're going to have a hearing. So that way, if there's a bill you're interested in, like say switchblades, at some point it will indicate where in the House that bill's going. I expect it'll go to public safety. In which case, then there's a link there you can click and you can look at the agenda, and it'll probably go to subcommittee 1. So again, when that happens, you can click on the link and you can see if it's coming up. Like they meet every Thursday, so that you can then see if it's coming up like next Thursday, which is possible. In which case, if you're in the area, by all means, come attend some of these meetings. And I try to put things out on VA Alert. Trouble is, sometimes we get very short notice. So, you might want to keep an eye on this stuff yourself if there's some bills out there that you're really excited about. Okay, so Switchblades looks good. There's a bill to reduce the concealed carry penalty. Right now, if you carry concealed with a handgun and you don't have a permit and they catch you, the first time it's a misdemeanor, a class 1 misdemeanor, a serious one, but still a misdemeanor. But it's a criminal charge. Now that's current law. And they don't put any limit on the next part. Normally with the law, if they're going to increase the penalty every time you do something, they put a limit. They say, okay, well, if you commit this crime the first time, it's a class 3 misdemeanor, for example. And if you commit another occurrence within the next year, you get charged with a class 2 misdemeanor. And if you do the same thing within 3 years, you do 3 of them within 3 years, now you get a class 1 misdemeanor, a felony, or whatever. They didn't do that with the concealed carry law. Instead, if you could be 18 and charged with carrying concealed and get that misdemeanor. You could then be 70 years old the next time when you forget and you've got the gun. Maybe you stop the car and your coat fell over the gun on the seat. The police officer comes up, and now you get charged with your second. 60 years later, 50 years later, now it's a felony. It's like it's a forever kind of thing. So this bill reduces the penalty. It makes the first occurrence like a traffic ticket. There's no crime. You merely get charged up to $100 without anything on your record. But it puts you on notice. Hey, if you're going to carry concealed, or how you have that gun was concealed, and if you're going to do that, you should have a permit. Then if it happens again, it goes to a class 2 misdemeanor, which is the second strongest. That could involve a certain amount of jail time and a certain level of fines. And if you do it 3 times or more, it goes to a class 1 misdemeanor. It never goes to a felony like it does now. And any of those charges can be dropped by the judge if you get a concealed carry permit while they're pending. So you got the penalty of the $100. You get your permit, and when you come up in front of the judge, you can show that, and he can waive the $100 or waive the class 2 misdemeanor or the class 1 misdemeanor. And the wording of that law is such that if you do get charged under this, like with a class 2 or a class 1 misdemeanor, it does not disqualify you from getting a concealed carry permit. That's specifically in the language. Because the idea is to encourage people, to not become someone with a criminal record. Okay, so that was reducing the penalty, and that passed with a little bit. That was a bipartisan, as I recall. It came out bipartisan, but not by much. But it's a good step towards constitutional carry, where there would be no penalty. It's not like criminals can't be charged for carrying a concealed gun anyhow without this. Just the mere possession by a violent felon, or even a felon in general, unless they've had their rights restored, is a crime. It's another felony. So the concealed part is not something that needs to be there. And again, this all goes back to keeping minorities from carrying concealed guns. At some point, it needs to go. But this is a step in the right direction. Let's not criminalize people for something that, number one, is a constitutional right to carry a gun. Show me in the Second Amendment where it says you have the right to only openly carry a gun or any weapon. It doesn't say that. That's something that the other side tries to read into it. They try to make that up, but it's not there.
Last time I checked, it said shall not be infringed. There was
right.
No but, no and, no add on to that at all. It just was a period after that.
Yeah, not like comma, unless you're concealed carrying. Not there.
Right.
There's a bill that gets rid of the penalty for stolen firearms that aren't reported quickly enough. That one passed out, and so that's now in the Senate. Why punish somebody? They've already lost their gun, and what you're going to turn around and punish them again as the victim of a theft if they don't report it in the time frame you think they should. That's just not right. Another bill. This one was one of a few of these were put in for VCDL. VCDL had about 5 or 6 bills put in for it that we requested. Another one of those is this one that reduces the delay on if you're waiting for a NICS check to run to buy a gun, and you're delayed under federal law, you can be delayed up to 3 days. And if the ATF hasn't done the background check hasn't come in, I guess it's actually the FBI, right, that does that part, Pat. The NICS check.
The NICS check is done through the FBI, right. And it's 3 business days. So right. If you're delayed on a Friday, it doesn't start counting until Monday.
Right, and then you got to wait the 3 days. No matter what, they don't start at the day it should have come in. They start at the next day, and then they count 1, 2, 3 from there. Well, that was raised to 5 days under a specious excuse for that because of a shooting down in South Carolina that had even 5 days wouldn't have made a difference. They'd have had to make the delay up months. In fact, they didn't even discover the problem until after the shooting. Then they looked at it again and found a problem where this guy shouldn't have got a gun in the first place. So anyhow, there's a bill to put it back to 3 days, which puts puts Virginia back in line with federal law and keeps it. You're still going to be without a gun for 5 days or more sometimes. So, but that's what that does. There's not much we can do about federal law, but at least we can get Virginia in line. So that's alive. The bill to get rid of local gun control, and that was the number one bill on our list, was to get rid of local gun control. That cleared the House on a partisan vote I don't know. It cleared on a partisan vote, so now it's in the Senate. I think it's unlikely it's going to go through the Senate full-fledged, full power, complete repeal. If anything happens, it's probably going to be a subset of what gets, what we get, what part of that we get back in preemption. We'll just have to see how that works out. We're going to try to get as much as we can. But again, elections have consequences, and we are still paying the price for not enough gun owners out in 2019 and the getting that bad election we had back then that caused that big turnout in 2020. We're still dealing with that in the Senate. So we're not home free on this. It's the big battle starts now. It's been an easy battle up to now. Now it's going to get really hard. Red flag repeal made it out of the House, and that now goes to the Senate. That's going to be a fight. I'll be honest with you. It was going to be a fight. And on the gun control side, I mean, there is some silver lining here. All the gun control bills, except one, are dead. There's another one there's one out there that'll also hopefully will die, but it's one that again sort of like studying gun violence. It doesn't look at violence. It again tries to focus only on guns, and we know why they do that. But that one's alive, but I don't expect that's going to go anywhere. It creates like something to study all this. But the plastic gun bill that made it through the Senate was pared back in the Senate to get it out of there. But it's the matching gun in the House is already dead. It died. So this is going into the House with the bill that matched it dead, except there is a difference. The plastic gun bill, again, they backed off on it. They were going to make it illegal for the plastic guns you already had that had not been, converted yet into a working gun by the time this came into law. And you wouldn't be able to get new ones. You'd only have what you had, but they took away the part that made it illegal right on the spot. Basically, the law would allow you to keep what you had, but you couldn't buy anything new and you couldn't sell it. And for Pat, as a gun dealer, she couldn't even sell them out of state where it would be legal to have it. That's how overreaching that is. So hopefully, and I feel pretty good that, if we all do our part, and I'll have an alert where you guys can contact the House on this, we'll push again to make sure that this bill goes down in flames.
Again, that's why it's very important when you get an alert or you see on social media one of those alerts that says action item, please contact your senator and delegate by clicking here. That's one of those things you got to stop what you're doing and go ahead and do it right then and there instead of wait till tomorrow or the next day or whatever, because it's going to be a moot point by then. It needs to happen then, and you need to forward that on to your friends and your coworkers and your family and have them all do the same, because the General Assembly needs to hear from you.
Yeah, and sometimes we have very short fuse. We had a really short fuse on the one for local gun control, which fortunately ended up getting pushed off. We've had about 3,500 emails going to the senators on this. We can do better than that, guys. If you haven't done the email, go ahead and send it out. I know a few people were going, well, why do you need to know my address and my phone number? We don't need to know. The software does to figure out who your legislator is and needs the phone number, because if you say, yeah, I want to call my legislator, the computer system calls your phone because it needs to know what your number is, and you answer. It calls the senator's phone and the aide or whoever picks up, and then you talk to them. That's why that information isn't being kept by us. It's not being kept by the system that we're using. So it's not like you're giving out your phone number and you're going to get all kinds of spam calls and everything. It's not what's going to happen. But it's needed to identify.
And those that are afraid to talk to somebody, it's generally not that you're going to get the senator right away and he's going to have a back and forth conversation with you about blah, blah, blah. It's usually an aide that's getting your name, maybe where you live, and why you support it, just so they can pass those notes on to the lawmaker.
I see PJC has said something. I'm kind of glad he brought this up because a few people have brought this up in a different way. PJC said, this is going back to reducing the penalty on concealed carry. He notes, so bad guys get shallow penalty for not getting a license. Well, let's look at this a couple different ways. The thing that we're looking at is innocent people can be caught up in this. Just because you've got a concealed gun, you're almost falling into the trap that the other side sets up. Oh, he's got a concealed gun, so he's got to be a bad guy unless he's got a permit. Baloney. But that's the other side sets us up into trying to get us all into this mindset that guns are evil, but if you conceal them, the only reason you would do that is because you're going to rob a bank, rape somebody, murder somebody. That's it. That's baloney. That's not true. Don't buy into that. Yes, criminals carry guns concealed. They don't open carry. Yeah, I get that. However, they're criminals. If they've been stopped and found with that concealed gun, they probably already robbed a bank, held somebody up, or already have a bad background. So if they already have a criminal background, the concealed carry thing might add something to it, but they're probably already going to be charged with a felony. How many millions of things do we need to charge somebody with? Part of
I bet they carry in parks in Loudoun County too.
Say what?
I bet they carry in parks in Loudoun County too.
I'll bet they carry in parks in Fairfax. So
or Richmond, yeah.
So the whole idea is here that innocent people can be caught. You kind of have to look to the whole philosophy of America. Our founding fathers would rather have seen 10 bad guys go free than have one good guy accidentally or inadvertently convicted of a crime he didn't do. That's why we have a unique legal system in the United States, where the government has to prove that you did something. You don't have to prove that you didn't. There's all kinds of things that bind the government's hands. And all of that binding that makes it harder for them to convict a criminal is there to protect you and I so that we don't get sucked into being convicted of something that we didn't do because we didn't have to
except when you're buying a gun and then you have to prove your innocence before you can exercise your constitutional right.
That's true. But at least you're not exercising it in a court of law with the potential of going to jail right on the spot. So
unless you get a false denial, but that's a whole nother ballgame.
That's right. Yeah. Oh yeah, believe me. And what Pat's saying, VCDL, the philosophy of this organization is we would be perfectly happy if they got rid of all background checks. Said tomorrow, nope, let's go back to 1965 or whatever. Let's just not do any background checks on anybody. We'd be fine with that. Crime wouldn't change. Bad guys still get their guns like they always get their guns. That wouldn't change. But it would make the good people wouldn't have to jump through all these hoops, prove you're a good guy, background checks, all that stuff, all that wasted time and effort and money. So, but anyhow, I hope that PJC, you kind of get it. And believe me, you're not alone. I'm not trying to pick on you here. It's actually a legitimate question. And again, like I say, we've been in many ways brainwashed. The other side has done a pretty good job over the years before really they had groups like VCDL and our other sister organizations and some of the good national organizations out there pushing back and making sure our members, are aware of the lies and the distortions that are going on out there with guns. And the whole concealed carry thing. I mean, I remember seeing a movie it took place in Chicago before they had their concealed carry permits. And the cop found a car and he looked up under the steering wheel and he saw a gun. And boy, the whole movie centered around that one stupid concealed gun. And of course, it was all evil. You knew when you saw that concealed gun that the driver, it couldn't be that he just wanted to protect himself. Oh no, it had to be a major crime thing. So anyhow, enough of that. But that's why we're not opposing reducing. Again, keep in mind we want constitutional carry, and when we get that, there will be no charge at all for anybody who can legally own a gun from carrying concealed. There won't even be the penalty of $100. So eventually, that whole thing's going away. 21 states have done it. Those states none of them have repealed it. It's all working.
So, Philip, when things happen in the General Assembly, when a bill moves out of committee to the floor, when a bill moves from a subcommittee to a committee, you put that on VA Alert, you tweet it. How do people keep up with that?
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. If you're following me on Twitter, and when I go to these meetings, I tweet out right away what's happening when it's happening. So you actually, it's like you're sitting in the room watching. Although you can sit in the room and watch, or you can watch it on your computer live. But if you can't do all that, I do put the tweets out. I try to put out a summary every so many days on VA Alert of major shifts, like these bills died and these bills have advanced. And I do realize that some people are new to all of this. We're constantly getting new members. Some of them are people that know a whole lot about how our civic system, how our government works. And honestly, some people don't know a lot about it. And there's some major failures by our schools. I think we all know that the schools are not teaching what they should be teaching. So
well, there's plenty of people that write in like to me or to the website and say, "Hey, make constitutional carry legal." Like,
yeah, or they see me say this bill was reported or passed out of committee. Oh, good, it's law. No, no, we're a long way from being law. And I suppose, and I know I've written this up over the years. Every now and then I write up all the steps, and I think I believe the state website for the General Assembly also has a thing that discusses how a bill becomes law. So
yeah, they have three versions. They've got like an elementary school, a mid school, and a high school level so that if it's the words that they use, a little more descriptive in the high school level.
Yeah. So if you're unfamiliar, go check that out. It's but I guess we could do a quick summary for those that may be new to this. A bill is introduced into the House or the Senate, but it must pass both of them. The bill is initiated. Let's say it's a House bill. It passes out of the House first. If it doesn't pass out of the House, it's dead. If it passes out of the House, then that same bill goes over to the Senate and they look at it and they have to pass it. If they kill the bill, it's dead. If they both pass it, then it goes to the governor and he's got three choices. He can veto the bill, he can sign the bill, or he can do nothing. If he does nothing, the bill will become law after a period, I can't remember if it's 90 days or something. It'll become law without his signature. You might say, well, why did they do that? Because basically the three options the governor is given is, one, I don't like this bill, I don't believe in it, and I won't support it. That's a veto. I like this bill, I believe it's a good deal, I'm going to sign it and it'll become law. Or the third one is, I don't like this bill, but obviously the people do, and this is the will of the people, even though I don't like it. So I will not put my signature on it, but I will not stop it from becoming law. And that's what that third option is. So the governor's got a choice of letting it become law even though he doesn't like it. But he doesn't have to veto something because he doesn't like it. I wish more often they would use that thing rather than going and vetoing something. But and then within each of those bodies, a bill goes to a committee, and the committee may have a subcommittee. And so the bill, before they vote on it on the floor, the bills always go to a committee at least, where people can work on it in a smaller committee and make decisions, maybe make changes, and then vote on it. If it's killed in committee, it never gets to the floor. It never leaves the body. It's dead. So committees kill a whole lot of bills that never get voted on by all of the senators or all of the delegates. And
frankly, it should be hard to get a law passed. We have way too many laws already.
I absolutely agree. This system is actually very good. The fact that it's so hard to get something out. Because remember, yeah, it's frustrating to us, and we've got a good bill in there, like constitutional carry, that we can't just kind of push it through. But you got to remember the other side of that coin, too. When gun control comes in, that's when you're really feel glad that there's so many steps, so many ways to kill that bill to keep it from becoming law. So our founding fathers did it right. Okay, was there a question that you put up, Ed, or did I? I saw something flash by while I was talking.
I put something I put something up earlier that Mark Chang was talking about, which is really we need to undo all the awful gun laws, preemption, universal background check, and get back to the status quo where we're just pushing for constitution. I put it back up now. It was just a comment that we all believe in.
Right, but right now, exactly. That's our main focus right now is restoring what was stolen from us.
You know, and I'm not going to publicly say their name, but my senator is very, 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 add 4 more varies, proud of the work that they've done to take away our rights, even though they signed and swore to the same Constitution that everybody else did. They think they're really doing a service to us by keeping, voting no on everything that we put in there, all partisanly, not looking at the bill at all, and just being like, no, 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 ban, ban, ban.
Right. And they've done a great job, right? Crime is up 20% in Virginia and 40% in some places. Good job. Yeah, that gun control, that stuff really works good. Criminals love it. Yeah.
Well, I suspect that crime is up a lot in the places that have passed local gun control, and that's increasing crime rates overall for the state. But the areas that haven't passed local gun control, I would be surprised if there's a huge difference in the crime rates.
Right. Yeah. Somebody was complaining about the crime rate to me in Winchester. I thought, yep, they passed all that same local gun control baloney that Richmond did. Richmond's really bad. I mean, and again, this is city council in Richmond. Even a few people on city council I thought wouldn't support all these gun bans in Richmond. When they voted on it, they all voted in favor of it. I was greatly disappointed in a few of those people. It tells me there's nobody on Richmond City Council that's worth supporting. Every one of them is bad. And this is true. I think Fairfax County's got one person that's decent on their board of supervisors, and that's it. All the rest of them are a waste of skin.
Speaking of city, counties, and board of supervisors, this is where you as a individual has the most leverage, is at your local government level. So if you want to try to make a difference, start there. Start with your city council or your board of supervisors and your school board, and get to know all of the people. Some of them have at-large representatives. Some of them have districts, like mine has precincts. So I have a specific board of supervisor member that represents my district, but I talk to all of them and I know all of them. So get involved in your local governments, and they can actually put some pressure on the General Assembly as well. But, Fairfax is going to take a lot of work. Alexandria, Loudoun. Sadly, we need to change the people that are in office. So
VCDL is not, sometimes we talk about the Democrats because of the way they voted, but we're not against Democrats or Republicans either way. We're pro-gun. So if you're a Democrat with a gun, we especially want you to contact your senator and delegate, because they need to hear from you. You can't sit on the sidelines and be quiet on this one.
Yeah, exactly. But but the reality right now is, as far as the people that are in the General Assembly that are Democrats, most of them are anti-gun. They made a political issue out of something that's a civil right, and that I don't know why. I guess I do know why, but it's frustrating. They should never do that. Let's see. Somebody was asking about. They said it was kind of a low count on the red flag. That didn't go out all that long ago, but right now we've had 1,600 and something odd emails sent to senators. Again, we can do a lot better than that. If you haven't sent the email on red flag to your senator, let's do that. As I said, this is going to be a fight. We're going to have to all pitch in here. Don't expect it'll happen on its own. Not in the Senate. Don't assume that we're gonna, if we get things out of there, it'll be by the skin of our teeth.
Yeah, that was DJ Arnaldo. That says, "What's the email alert count on the
Yeah,
HB 509
yeah.
red flag repeal?" So
1650 right now.
yeah, so if you haven't done it tonight, do it now. Go to the alert email. If you can't find the alert email, go to the VCDL.org and click the link that says VA alert, and it's the most recent alert. Open that up and click the link that says contact your lawmakers, and it takes you 5 minutes and it's done.
On the bill to support repealing local gun control, we have 3,573 emails sent. We can do better than that. We can do a whole lot better. This means a whole bunch of people out there are letting other people carry their water for them. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a real battle. If you want good results, we need you in the fight with us. Let me see here. There was another one that caught my eye. I guess on the domestic assault, you passed that on to John. Pat?
Yeah, I gave John's email address. The best thing to do is contact an attorney that specializes in that. John Pierce is on our board of directors, and he is an attorney that specializes in firearms laws. He does a lot of rights restorations and things like that. So he's a good person to talk to. Another attorney is Gilbert Ambler Law up in Fairfax. And he's an executive member. He's also with U.S. Law Shield attorney, and he has his own practice up in Northern Virginia. So he does a lot of firearms laws. And I just got a book in the mail from him, Virginia gun laws. So he did a great job putting that together. And my husband looked at it. It's about 2 inches thick, and he said, gun laws should be like 2 pages.
Or a blank book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just keep your laws against rape, robbery, murder, and all that stuff.
Right.
Let's see.
It's funny, if you want to buy this book on Amazon and you search Gilbert Ambler, his name, it says the Virginia Gun Law Armed and Education book, but the photo of the book on Amazon says Texas. But it is the Virginia book. Yeah. I talked to the president of U.S. Law Shield today, actually, and told him about that. So they're going to try and get that resolved. But if you want this Virginia book, then and you order it on Amazon, it is definitely the Virginia book, even though the photo of the book says Texas.
Yep. So DJ says gun owners sitting on the sidelines and letting other people fight for them is how we got ourselves into this mess.
Yeah.
Let's get off the couch and do our patriotic duty. Absolutely, DJ. As much as anybody else, I hate politics. I know Philip hates politics. Our eyes go cross-eyed when we're sitting in these meetings listening to the drone and to the stupid excuses of why they need to rule our lives. But more than that, it takes effort. And if we don't get involved in the decision-making process, somebody else is going to make those decisions for us, and we're not going to like it.
No.
So,
and when you find out what they were, it's going to be too late.
Right. And as far as, getting your name on a list or something like that, being an activist, frankly, you're probably already on a list. But it's more important to me to take that risk and to work to get our rights back. I mean, I have kids. I have adult kids, and they will have kids. And I couldn't live with myself knowing that I didn't do everything I could to ensure that they have the legacy of freedom that we appreciate. So I feel like it's my duty, my responsibility, my top priority to be a part of this fight.
Let me pick up on something that CompuServe put up there. That was one I meant to put on the list and I forgot. So let's talk about this. CompuServe writes, why support the bill concerning the removal of serial numbers? Someone said a Senate floor speech made good points on the bill's flaw. there's a substitute bill that's in there, and the substitute bill passed that put in some correction. So what's been done on it is it has a reenactment clause, which means it's not going to become effective this year. It'll become effective next year if the General Assembly votes on it again to go ahead and activate it. This is going to give them more time to do some more cleanup on that bill. That section of code was written in 1975, and it's got all kinds of problems with it. I didn't know until this bill came up from Senator Eben, and that brought my attention to that piece of code, which I'd never looked at. And then Pat says, "Oh yeah, there's this problem." And then John Pierce says, "Yeah, we've got this problem with it." It was all news to me. So looking at that, I looked at it and I said, "Well, if we can fix the problems, what the senator was doing was saying, okay, it's illegal for a person to intentionally remove a serial number or to alter it in such a way that instead of serial number 123, it looks like 128 or something to mislead people on what the real serial number is." That's federal law. That's the state law. But the state law went beyond into directions that the federal law didn't, and would create problems. Like, let's say you got a pistol that was from World War II from Germany. You got a Luger, and you like the gun, a lot of history to it, but it had Nazi markings on it. And you didn't like Nazi markings on your gun. Yeah, it's going to reduce the price, but you don't care. You don't want those stupid markings on your gun. So you have them removed. Under Virginia, the federal government wouldn't be a problem. But under Virginia, you could have been charged with a felony for removing that because they said any marks. Well, that's wild. I mean, it sounds to me like, anything, even a proof mark from Belgium, you'd have to keep on there. So there were some real problems with it. And what he wanted to do is the law says now that you can't deface or remove the serial number. What the Virginia law doesn't say that federal law does is that you also can't possess a gun that has the serial number removed, nor can you sell it. Well, that means that if you got charged with that, you'd be dragged into federal court. So this would allow Virginia law enforcement to enforce that, and you would go to a state court instead of going to a federal court over the same issue. The language we felt was reasonable in the sense that it was saying you can't knowingly possess. So if somebody gave you a gun and you had no idea this thing used to have a serial number on it, and it was just, no serial number, it looks good to you, you didn't see any indication it had been removed, you can't be charged under this. The state would have to prove that you knew that gun had the serial number removed. And again, they were aiming this at criminals that remove the number thinking that they can get away with murder by doing that. It also says you can't knowing the gun was illegally modified, the serial number removed, sell it to someone. Again, the word knowingly has been added to both those so that it's clear that you as an innocent person who got a gun from somebody and just didn't know that this illegal act had been committed, you couldn't be charged. So,
and how they know what you know is beyond me.
And that's going to be tough for them to prove that you knew.
And another advantage to having this in Virginia code as opposed to relying on the federal code is that if somebody is charged with this, if they're charged in a Virginia court, it's much cheaper to defend yourself than if you're charged in a federal court.
Right. Yeah. So you can have somebody like John Pierce fighting for you in Virginia, but if you go federal now, you got to find somebody that specializes in is set to fight in federal courts. It's a whole different thing. So we looked at this whole thing.
I don't think they can figure out what I knew, what they think I knew, because I don't even know what I knew.
Well, again, it's a very high, that knowingly changes everything. This is what I would tell people about churches. If you're carrying in church and there's a daycare center thing running at the licensed daycare, if they try to charge you saying, well, yeah, you're in church, but this is school property because they have a daycare center there. they would have to prove that you knew that daycare center was there, you knew that it was operating, and you knew that it extended out into the church area or wherever it was that you got charged. So we have a similar protection there to avoid a felony on school grounds. So anyhow, the bottom line is, and I appreciate CompuServe asking this. He's again not the only person to have asked this. A few have wondered about it. No, we're not running off supporting gun control left and right, but we felt like in the realm of trying to reasonably do something with people that are illegally running guns and selling guns for the purpose of committing crime, we didn't have a problem with this. And again, it matched federal law. It's not like we're creating new law. We're actually making it maybe better for you to be able to, if you get snagged into this, to be able to have it handled in the state court and not have to go federally. But the improvements are the other thing too, because right now the law, if you're out hunting with a shotgun and your gun's you're leaning up against the barbed wire fence to step over the fence to get to the other side of a field, your gun slides down it and that barb just gouges right along the serial number. Doesn't demolish it, doesn't make it unreadable, but it defaces it. It now has been kind of scratched up. Under current law, you could be charged for that. And again, federally, no. Federal law says, no, that's not. But state law does. So we're fixing something that's a problem now that could get people into trouble. Overall, the whole thing came out as a plus for Virginia law-abiding gun owners. That's the bottom line.
Well, you want to tell me your thoughts on Remington?
You want me?
Sure. Or Pat.
Sure. Or Pat. Pat, why don't you talk about it?
$73 million.
I think it's unfortunate that the insurance companies did that settlement.
Wait, let's back. For those that don't know, it came out in the news that the insurance companies that represent Remington Arms settled on paying $73 million to, I think, 8 families that were at Sandy Hook, and that's their settlement to them, thereby setting a precedent that gun manufacturers can be held responsible for what happens with their firearms that they manufacture, which then can go on to, different whiskey companies being sued for drunk driving, and, kitchen knife companies, being sued for mad kitchen stabbings. I don't know. Where does it end?
Like I said at the beginning of this session here, I think the proper answer to this is for groups like us and people that have been impacted to start suing governments that create gun-free zones that are then targeted, and parents of kids in schools that have attacks. Maybe the Virginia Tech parents, some of those people should sue Virginia Tech for making it a gun-free zone and, putting their kids at risk because it's an advertised gun-free zone. And it's shown statistically to be targeted by deranged killers.
When we were at Virginia Tech, when we were down there and we're holding up our signs and doing stuff, I think Philip and I met a guy that was at Virginia Tech. He was an MP, he's military police, taking some classes there. And he's like, if I could have been armed, I could have done something right then and there. But even as an MP, I was denied carrying as well.
Yeah, and there's been several bills put in the General Assembly to hold governments accountable and to hold businesses that make their business a gun-free zone accountable for any harm that comes to someone that's attacked and denied the right of self-defense. So sadly, they haven't made it through the General Assembly, but unless we start countering these measures, the tactics where the antis are using lawsuits and other means to bankrupt legal, law-abiding businesses because their product was used illegally. I mean, people come in the store and they say, well, we need to do something to stop these violent crimes. And I'm like, okay, well, how about this? How about we make murder illegal?
It's already illegal, Pat. Let's make it double illegal.
Okay, let's make it double illegal. Hey, let's make it just the most ultimately bad penalty you can possibly think of. How about that? That'll stop them, right?
After they hang you, then they shoot you, and after they do that, they electrocute you.
And burn at the stake even. But the point is, criminals don't care. It does not deter them.
They don't think they'll get caught, Pat.
Somebody hell-bent on murder is hell-bent on murder, and it doesn't matter if they have. If you wiped all the guns off the face of the earth, it's not going to stop the murderers. So the best defense is
then people will be suing Stanley Hammers.
Mm-hmm. The best way to stop a murderer is somebody with the means to stop a murderer, and that means giving people the ability, the tools that they need to defend themselves.
But they don't want that because that empowers people, and they don't want us empowered particularly.
Or we could just assign a cop to each person as a bodyguard, right?
Yeah. Well, now if you're Bloomberg, you get 6 of them.
Yes. Well, some are more special than others, I think.
I saw something on here. Quick Draw McGraw 357. He brought up one that I just want to point out that VCDL focuses on guns or self-defense and knives or anything like that would be a self-defense item. Even pepper spray, if it were being challenged, it's not. But facial recognition is, which you're asking about, the rhinos that voted for a bill that expanded facial recognition. Granted, most of us don't like that either, but that's not our focus. We'll let other groups that deal with privacy deal with that issue. We cannot get divided into a million little things. It takes all we can do to stay focused on our topic because it's under constant attack from all angles. So that one you'll need to talk to a privacy group about what's going on with Republicans and Democrats, all of them supporting that. Getting to the point where you leave your house and they're able to track you everywhere you go. We knew it's coming. I mean, it was supposed to have arrived in 1984. We've managed to stretch it out a little bit longer, but that this is that'll be another never-ending battle. Your privacy.
All you got to do is just take this mark or this transponder in your hand, and we can keep you safe.
Sure. Or we get a mask that looks exactly like Ed. Then you can do whatever you want.
Right.
Right.
Except Ed doesn't wear masks.
Yeah. So, William, there are some states that are taxing ammo, and we disagree that. We agree with you that a civil right shouldn't be taxed, and that's why we're fighting the fee for the permits, the concealed handgun permits. But as far as Remington repealing, you can't repeal a settlement. You have agreed to a settlement, and I haven't looked at the settlement, but I would wager that there was no admission of guilt there. And it will probably be a sealed settlement. Nobody knows the terms of, but it's sad that they did that. I cringe every time an insurance company makes a settlement, but it's a financial decision. What's going to be cheaper for me? Settle it for this amount of money or fight it in the courts?
Yeah. So, and then they settle it, Pat, and then they go to the other businesses. Well, we really can't insure you anymore, because they know that they've started something rolling that they don't want to be a part of when this thing continues to happen. Now that they've opened the floodgates,
and that's one of the things that one of the ways that our industry is being put out of business is being denied insurance coverage, being denied merchant accounts to process credit cards. There's all sorts of devious, underhanded ways that governments, banks, organizations that are anti-gun are working to put gun dealers, gun manufacturers, and organizations like VCDL out of business. All we can do is just keep trudging on and, fight it the best way that we can and work together. And that's why it's so important for VCDL members to be active when you see the action alerts. Get your friends to sign up for VCDL, because the more members that we have, the more clout that we have when we go to the General Assembly.
I see Al Steed's in here, one of our previous board members, and a hell of a caller out in western part of Southwest Virginia, still doing a lot for us. We're trying to get the weight off his back. If you know somebody in Southwest Virginia that can help pick up doing gun shows and things, let me know, president@vcdl.org, so that we can get some of the weight off of Al. He's still continuing to carry a lot of weight out there. And he was trying to get out from under some of that. He's been doing it for years. So if you know anybody or you can do it, get involved on this, let me know. DJ Arnaldo, he says, Philip, are you saying that if we write our Virginia senator about, say, election rules, it dilutes the effectiveness of our gun emails? No. But for me to send all you guys under the umbrella of VCDL out after, say, election rules, unless we absolutely had something directly involving guns on that, like, well, we might be interested in changing again, we want to change the law that you should be able to carry at a polling place if you want to. Right now you can't, but that would be different. But to put you out under the umbrella of VCDL going after things that aren't gun related, that dilutes our efforts. Yes. Then they don't look at VCDL as a focused organization. It's like, oh, so what is Dan Cleveland here for today? Is this going to be voting, or is this going to be abortion, or is it going to be guns? No. When I walk in the room, they know exactly what the topic is. There's never a deviation from that. But what you do is very different. Sure, if you want to get involved with organizations that are doing stuff with privacy, election rules, and send out their emails, or just on your own, make that your topic as well, and you can always communicating with your senator, not only on guns, but on other things, that's fine. In fact, the better they get to know you as a person and all your interests, and maybe some of your interests in other things might actually line up with your representative. It might be that your senator and you agree on the cost of automobile taxes. I don't know. Then that could be a good thing over time, and it could start to associate.
That's actually helped me in the motorcycle world, because I'm a motorcyclist, and I've talked to some people that don't want to talk about guns, but we see eye to eye on some other things, and it just keeps the door open.
Right, and if you have a senator or delegate that maybe votes the wrong way on the gun issue, but you can find another issue where you have common ground, like motorcycles or school issues or something like that, it kind of aligns you and puts you on a more personal level with them. And then when you do talk to them about guns, they don't see you as that gun nut. They see you more as a whole person and a constituent. And it may be easier to breach that subject, and maybe they will listen a little bit anyway to some reason.
Yeah. They, as an individual, you can do that. As an organization, some organizations have tried that. They tried to open up their umbrella to cover a whole bunch of things, and it didn't work out well for them. It really didn't. I think
VCDL is effective because it is laser focused on one specific topic, and that's the right to keep and bear arms. And because of that laser focus, we can give extreme attention, do extreme research into certain things, and be more effective. And there are other organizations out there that cover a lot of the other topics. So.
Yes, yeah, and again, Pat, can you even imagine what it would be like? I mean, it's so much work now keeping track of all the gun bills and what committees they're in. Could you imagine if we now suddenly we're dealing with privacy and all these other
Well, we've certainly got enough emails on Black Lives Matter movement and statues coming down, and VCDL needs to go down there with an armed team and protect the statues. And we've heard it all.
Yeah, yeah, yep. We have. We're a lot of time because we're so effective. We certainly have a lot of different groups trying to pull us in to help with their effort. We don't. We have to turn them down. If it's not guns, I'm sorry, we can't help you. It's not that we don't believe in other things that other people are doing that are very much constitutional, protecting the same Constitution that we're protecting, but we just can't be pulling you guys in every possible direction. What helps us too is that we're focusing all you guys on guns. If you actually all sat down and talked to each other, you might find that some of you are disagree on abortion, or you disagree on taxes and all that. So if we took positions on those things, we would lose a lot of members because somebody go, oh, you're pro-life? Oh my God. Or you're pro-choice? Oh my God. Whatever it is, there'd be people leaving. This way, we don't take a position on any of that. We don't care what your position is. And that helps us bring a coalition of everybody that's a gun owner into this, because we're not drifting away from guns. If your interest is in guns, this is the place to be.
Right. And as our members, you guys are free to pursue whatever other interests or issues that you want to. You can be activists in more than one area, but VCDL as an organization, in order to be effective, has to remain laser focused on the right to keep and bear arms in Virginia.
I see Phil Lowe. He might. Phil, I think you missed early. You probably came in a little late. I brought this up, and I'll be glad to mention it again. You're asking, will the Senate repeal county ordinances? What you're really asking is, will it repeal the law that allows them to make county ordinances? And that would have the effect of removing the ordinances. We don't know. It's going to be a fight on that. It's going to be a very tough fight. We may end up having to get a part or a piece or pieces of what we want there. And it may take us a few years to get it all restored to where it should be. Don't know yet. But it's not, this is why we need everybody in the fight. The Senate is not going to be a place where we can take anything for granted at all. So stay active in this. Help us understand that we're looking for solutions to try to get as much of your rights restored as possible. We can't get them all restored right away. The things that were taken away over the last couple of years, we're not going to get them back this year. We're going to get some of it, I hope, but not all of it by any means. But then again, we have elections in 2023 for the Senate. If you guys reelect the House to have strong pro-gun people in it, put pro-gun people in the Senate. Remember, the gun control side is only up one vote in the Senate. Just one vote is all they have. It's causing all this trouble. One lousy vote.
Right, but we've got to get things out of committee first, and that Senate Judiciary Committee is stacked 9-6. So when Philip puts out the alert that says such and such a bill is coming up in the Senate Judiciary Committee, we need you to call, we need you to email, and we need you to show up. If there's any way you can be there, then show up in Richmond. If you can't be there physically, you can sign up to testify online. They have a Zoom meeting where you can testify, and you can watch the meeting on live on the computer. So, if there's any way you can do it, attend those meetings either virtually or in person, preferably in person.
So a couple of people have brought up a question about Marcus Simon, the delegate who ended up being too smart by half. He decided that he was going to buy an 80% Glock gun, a lower. I guess maybe he bought the kit with everything in it. I don't know. And decided that he was going to build it and just show the General Assembly how easy this was. Well, so it was so easy that when he got home, he realized he didn't have the tools to do it. So rather than buying the tools, he went to a friend's house and used the friend's tool. Now, under federal law, you're supposed to use your own tools, and it gets really dicey in there. And what he did could have put him very much in legal jeopardy with the federal government for having illegally built that gun because he did not do the thing on his own. He had to have somebody help him. That's not the way it's supposed to work. Now he didn't do it with evil intent. I don't. He doesn't strike me as a person that would do that. I don't think that was the case, but it exemplifies how easy it is to do something innocently and be dragged into the web of gun control, to be dragged into a position where having done something you had no idea was illegal and no reason to think it was. You just used some tools that a neighbor had. You had no idea to think there'd be anything wrong with it, but it is. Next thing you know, you're in a federal court, maybe facing some serious jail time and a huge fine. So I think hopefully that was a lesson to him. But yeah, he just blurted it out because he didn't know there was anything wrong in what he did.
Well, he wanted to just walk in and be like, "Look what I did! Look how easy it was, and I did it."
Yeah.
Right, which just goes to show that there's so many stupid laws on the books that you almost can't go 24 hours without breaking some stupid law somewhere. And there's so many stupid gun laws on the books that these people that are trying to say, look how easy it is to do this, we need to make it illegal, and they're doing something illegal.
Yeah, yeah. They half the time, no, way more than half the time, the people that are pushing these gun control things don't know anything about guns. They really don't. I would have more respect for them if they at least bought one gun, went through the whole process of buying a gun, got some training, and got their concealed handgun permit. And there are a few of them on the Democrat side that have got permits, so they did go through it and they still vote wrong. But the other ones, I would have, but I don't see any of them putting in gun control bills. But they vote for them when they come in. But I would have a lot more respect if they would do that, if they actually knew what they were talking about. Otherwise,
yes and no, because if they own a gun and they have a permit and they're trying to pass all these laws, it's kind of an elitist, okay for me, but not for thee thing. And to me, that's in some ways worse than doing something out of ignorance.
Well, if they're exempting themselves, but some of these guys are literally supporting laws that restrict themselves. I don't know if they're not thinking of it that way or the politics are such that they feel they're stuck and they have to do this. But yeah, they're restricted. Now, if they have an exception, say, well, if you belong to the General Assembly or whatever, and you get out of this, that would really raise a roar. And I don't think the Democrats are even willing to do that. The ones in the General Assembly.
William, that's a good book. I've read that book, 3 Felonies a Day. That is a chilling look. And Mark, it's funny that you asked that about your friend renting or selling you his drill press. Gilbert Ambler says no. That makes the person that's loaning you or renting you the tools a gun manufacturer. So Gilbert Ambler says no on that one. Good question.
Yeah, you need to buy what you use.
Yeah, stupid laws. It really is. A few years ago, I had looked into the possibility of doing an 80% lower class, where as a gun store, we helped people to complete their 80% lowers. And the only way that I could do it is if I engraved them all with my store name and city, state, and gave them all serial numbers and registered them, because I would be considered a manufacturer.
Just by teaching them how to do it.
Just teaching them how to do it, yeah.
They really, really want to know what guns we have. That's the bottom line.
Right.
And again...
And the sad part is that all of this serial number stuff, and it almost never leads to solving of a crime. Now, occasionally it'll lead back to solving of straw purchases. But more frequently what happens is a gun that's recovered in a crime and they run the serial number trace, it will reunite the gun with its rightful owner. But it doesn't lead back to the person that committed the crime, because that person either bought it on the black market or stole it or something like that.
Yeah, in fact,
You want to answer Mr. Rico on what's going on with constitutional carry, and then we'll probably wrap up as we're looking at the 90-minute mark here coming up.
Yeah. Let's see. Constitutional carry. Well, the bill to do. There were a couple bills that would do that. They both died in the House. So I think basically Republican leadership said that it's a waste of time right now, and that they're going to hold off on that for the time being. So, but the bills were in. We've had a bill in. We've been pushing for this. How many years? 6 or 7 years now, I think. We've been having bills.
And we'll keep pushing until it's passed, but it won't be this year.
No.
And more states are passing it, passing it, and there's not blood in the streets and all the stuff that's going to go wrong.
Oh, we always, everything we do, there's blood in the streets. We hear it every single time, and it never does, and they never apologize.
You guys stop wrong. One gun a month. Everyone's going to buy 100 guns every day, and then there's going to be a war.
Most of the time when we get the bills passed that we want passed, there's less blood in the streets. So there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't like to talk about that. Mark Ching says, he kind of wants an 80% now because of these laws. And I agree with him. I never really had any interest in making, like Mark says, I need another Glock on top of everything else. But those laws just they just make you want to do it because you're fed up with it all. But
just to thumb your nose at them. But
like signs in stores that say "Don't touch this," I'm like,
how about a sign that says "Ignore this sign"? Now what do you do? If you ignore it, you're following what the sign says. If you don't ignore it. It's a loop. People just stand there transfixed, unable to move because they're in a loop. Okay. Anyhow, I guess it's almost 9. It's 9.
Thank everybody for joining us. This will be on our YouTube channel where you can replay it. Please share it on your own social media so that other people can listen to what we had to say. And I think we're going to start off uploading our videos also to Vimeo so that YouTube will not be the only Vimeo, YouTube, Brumble, and Vimeo will be our videos depositories.
So, Ed, where can people find all our social media outlets?
They can go to linktree.com/VCDL. I'll put it in the chat. linktree.com/VCDL.
And on the off chance that somebody on this video, watching this video, is not a member, I'm going to put how to join in the chat.
That's a good idea because a lot of people say you guys should be on Getter. It's a new social media. You should be on Getter. And you should be on Parler. You guys should be on Parler. And you should be on Gap. You should be on
Telegram.
Telegram. You should be on Telegram. We're on all of them.
Yep.
Just search for us. Or go to that linktree.com/VCDL. And that way you can find the channel of us on all the other social media. And it's important that you do so because some social media platforms don't like us very much.
You think?
And they shadow ban and they ban our moderators. One of our moderators today got 30 days for what's that medicine?
Yeah, the one that starts with an I and ends with an N.
Yeah. He posted that and got a 30-day ban. And what that does, that doesn't do anything to him except block him. But now it's slower for him to look at posts and block the bad stuff. And, it's just a way to slap us.
Right. And Ed spends all day, every day, keeping all of those social media outlets up to date. So that's a big job. I would not
questions. We definitely answer member questions first with the highest priority. But if somebody's like, how do I do this? And they're not a member, we'll certainly try and help them if we can and encourage them to be a member. But we're here for our membership.
Yep.
Andres, we're on Rumble. We should try Rumble. We're on there.
Yep, we are. All right, folks. It's
Thank
been
you,
great
everybody.
chatting with y'all, and feel free to contact us online on the social media outlets.
And this is going to be a busy couple weeks in the General Assembly, so watch for those alerts. This is where the
Yep.
Once you
rubber's
get
meeting
those
the road
alerts,
in the Senate.
do the action items. A phone number that I could contact someone on.
Who do you want to contact for in what capacity? I mean, VCDL has a main phone number. It goes to voicemail quite a bit because we're out fighting for your rights instead of sitting by the phone. But you can also do the email, the web contact, any of the social media, or the phone numbers on the website also.
Well,
Yeah,
we're waiting.
William, it really depends on what you want to know. The best thing to do is if you want to write to social media at vcdl.org, that will come to me, and then I will direct you to who the best person you could talk to for what your issue is.
And Michael Dalton asked what the definition of preeminence is. I think what you meant, Michael, is preemption. And preemption just simply says that state law preempts or wipes out local law on something. Like for the firearm preemption laws, the way they used to be until the Democrats changed them in 2020 was that local gun control could not be done. Only the state could do it. Their laws preempted anything that the locality could do. That's what that is, and why we want it. We want statewide gun laws. If you learn the laws for the state, you're good everywhere you go. Right now, there are 16 localities that have their own version of the law, and it makes a mess. That's why we want preemption back, and that's what it is.
Right. So when you're driving your car, you don't have to worry about the traffic laws being different in Fairfax County than they are in Henrico County. You just know state law is state law. The firearms law should be the same way. If you're in Virginia, this is it. This is the law.
Right. If you see a park,
it doesn't matter if you're right. It doesn't matter if you're in Alexandria or in Annandale or any other place in the whole state. All the laws are uniform across the state, and that way there's not little gotcha pockets.
Yeah, and if you want to walk into it, you want to go to a park, you shouldn't have to say, "Oh, wait a minute, am I in Fairfax or am I in Chesterfield?"
And they like those gotcha pockets because they want you to go, well, I'm going to go visit my friend down in Charlottesville, and I got to go through this county. I don't know the laws. I think I'm just going to leave my gun at home.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember before preemption, we used to go down to shooting range down in Chesapeake to compete in IDPA. And before we got to the Chesapeake city limits, we had to stop the car, unload the guns, put the ammo in a different place, stow the guns, and drive to the range. Then we could load our guns back up again.
That sounds safe.
Yeah. On the side of the road, unloading your guns. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to go there. We got to fix this.
Right.
Well, have a good evening, everybody.
And DJ, it's on there. It's the top thing on the VCDL page. Is the link. Pat put it there, the link to the YouTube channel. And it's on the VCDL live page, and it's in the VCDL group.
Yep.
So,
and if you can't find us, send us a message. So good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.